Hey guys, what's up? It's Lizzie Jane, and welcome back to the podcast. I hope your week has been incredible. I want to do a special shout out to my Charlotte crew. I played in Charlotte, North Carolina 2 weeks ago, and I'm still thinking about that show. It was so crazy, such an intimate, sweaty venue, and I cannot wait to come back. But this week, we have Floret Loret joining me on the podcast, fresh off his Mission Ballroom show with Zeds Dead and Tape B. I was super pumped to have him not only on the podcast, but also on the XX transmission yesterday evening on Impact on Insomniac Radio. Happens every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. We enjoyed an exclusive guest mix packed with IDs from Floret Loret and also a little snippet of this interview that you guys get to listen to now. So I'm super excited. And also a little snippet of this podcast that you guys are tuning in to listen to now. He is an absolute gem of a human, an incredible producer for that freeform, experimental style of bass music. He has released not only continuously with Deadbeats over almost the last 5, 6 years, but also a slew of underground labels that are absolutely killing it right now. So we definitely talk about those labels a ton during this podcast, and also just how to create your universe of you being an artist and not necessarily having to let the social media platform that we are all playing on now dictate your creative endeavors and how you want to build that universe as you start to release songs under your artist project or undergo a sonic change. So let's just hop into this podcast. If you guys love what me and the team are doing here at the podcast, please make sure you tag a friend, subscribe on YouTube, share it with someone who you think could benefit from it, and big thanks as always. So let's hop into it. It's Lizzie Jane, and you're tuning into my podcast with special guest Floret Loret.
Welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super hyped that we finally got to sit down and chat. I think it's kind of crazy how long we've kind of existed in the same circumference of one another, and it's
Yeah.
it's wild to see literally almost it's been like 7 8 years, almost a decade past what the Florida homies have like done and accomplished and like really started to like come into their own. I feel like a lot of people say like an overnight sensation takes 10 years, and I'm seeing now literally almost 10 years into this that could not be more of a fact. So, how have you been? What's been going on with you?
I've been good. Been good. Yeah, I remember from like I think when we first met in Florida was like at Now, which like this little Orlando like nice little venue there. And I think we played the a show with that was with if I remember
Mhm.
correctly, Woolly Mammoth, Great Dane, Peekaboo, and like I think I want to say no, he wasn't there. So yeah, there was a huge crowd there. And I remember at that time hearing from the crowd that's like, "Oh yeah, Peekaboo is about to blow up." So this is like before like
Mhm.
his great run of success. So yeah, and I mean
Crazy.
it's crazy how far like we've gone. So like I'm very fortunate and very happy to be here still. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think like what I've been up to lately, I just been like working a lot on just kind of the project, trying to get like a better like understanding of what I want to do. Um, I'm trying to dive more and more into this like storytelling with my music and trying to build like a like bigger story with it in terms of like fantasy and lore. Kind of like I'm a really big nerd. I really love like Lord of the Rings, Legend of the Dragons, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of want to build my own little story that way. I kind of want to incorporate music with it. So um, right now I'm kind of working on several EPs that are kind of telling a small little portion of a story that will eventually turn into this giant little thing. So yeah, that's what I'm currently working on.
We love that. We love Lodar in this house. Christmas, we did a full Lord of the Rings marathon. My boyfriend right now is playing the Witcher video game. So we are big Witcher stans, and I actually just watched the Rings of Power show on Amazon, and that was phenomenal. I can't believe I waited so long to watch it, but I definitely, tying this into what you just said, feel like there's something that's kind of happening in this era of social media being what it is. And like from an outside perspective, I feel like you have always put your music first. Like, not only do you really associate amongst like the Deadbeats family, but also releasing like just these like really like beautiful melodic but deep swampy like halftime bangers on a ton of, like on a ton of, like, underground labels, and I feel like I'm seeing artists either go one of 2 directions, and that first direction is going into total social media land. We are doing the remixes, we are doing the nostalgic era, we are playing the game, playing to the formula, or they are working on building their own world and, like, really going, like, hammer time on the story and the universe behind their project, which is what I see you doing because I see, like, on your Instagram and stuff that you're really working on the visual elements that go alongside your music, and a lot of your music isn't super vocally driven, so I feel like that goes, like, hand in hand. Are you having fun, like, experimenting or, like, are you still figuring out exactly what you want, or are you like, "This is" whether I'm working with Blender or another visual software, what are you really enjoying in, like, pairing your music with the visuals you're making currently?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I've been having a lot of fun just like building a lot of like different ideas I could probably work. So like right now I'm like just like drafting a bunch of ideas for like a story. But in terms of like the visual point, the Deadbeat show I tell you like last week, the Mission Ballroom, that was my very first time making visuals and having them go on the big screen behind me. So I felt like it felt real for a minute because I was just like, I've been trying to learn Touch Designer, which is the visual program I've been learning since February, kind of
Okay.
March. Um, and I learned a little bit of things about it. I did a few projects, and then like my computer was just getting cooked to oblivion. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should probably look into getting a PC that can handle this instead of my MacBook. But like, yeah, I've been really enjoying just kind of like diving into the art and trying to build something that's like that people can see and visualize with my music. So try and put that together like hand in hand. I think it'll be really cool to see once it comes to fruition. But yeah,
Absolutely. And it's such like a learning process. It's kind of like with production, how once you have all those light bulb moments as an early producer in the DAW, I've seen a lot of people like yourself. Aaron Heritage has been doing a lot of his own visual work for a while. There's a lot of producers like stepping into that bucket. And they're like, it's kind of cool because you feel like you're starting over, but you're just building on something that's already been established. So you're not just kind of like frolicking in the wind and, like, not understanding anything, and I feel like it has to be somewhat like production where for, like, a long time, there's a gap between what you're hearing in your head and what you can create in the DAW, and then once you break through that, it becomes really exciting. Is that kinda how it is working with visuals? Like, I know what I wanna see, but how am I, like, creating it? Like, are you coding? Are you, like, doing overlays? Like, how do you even start to approach that?
oh hell yeah, I just do YouTube videos. Honestly, like I when I pick those touches,
University.
yeah, seriously, I'm just like forget it. Like I'm not trying to like reinvent anything or trying to do anything. I'm like, let me see how I can recreate like with this tutorial and then learn from there, and then the next tutorial and the next one, the next one. The way touch designer kind of works is like it does different nodes. So if you have like I used to be on FL Studio like back in 2016. I think it was called like a patcher or something where like I think you're able to build different nodes with patcher or something. So it's kind of similar like that where you have to route things. And each of their nodes have a certain operator that is performing some sort of function. So let's say like, oh hey, like this is going to be like dev- making a giant square. The square is now going to be routed to the next operator, which makes it 3D, and then to the next operator, which is going to like twist it, and thus each of the one is doing its own different thing. And then once you kind of like render it out, you can then add like more effects to it on the rendering side. So like that kind of process there is like once you learn like a few tutorials, it kind of starts making sense, and you can start building things on your own.
Mhm.
Um, and the learning curve for it is kind of It's not too bad, I think, because it's just because we all have that like kind of like the creative brain, so like we're always eager to learn something else, and like
Mhm.
so, and we all worked with Ableton, Apple Studio, Reason, whoever or your choice of DAW is, and I think we all have that kind of like producer like production brain where we're like, hey, like we can create this and let's learn this way and learn from like all of these kind of like videos, tutorials, what have you, and try and build something new from it. So it's a huge like new little playground that I've been having fun with lately.
Were you, like, in the middle of your set at Mission Ballroom and just kind of like, "Ooh, how does this look? Let me look behind me and then
Yeah,
come back
yeah.
to the CDJs?"
100%. I turned around. I was like, "Hello." I was like, "Great, it's still there."
You're like,
And
"Great, it's still there."
and like Scotty was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna put this on when you play this," and he was showing me some of the visuals and turn around. And it was there, and I kind of looked for like a second. I was like, "Oh my god! Like I made some of this stuff. This is pretty sick." And then I turned back around. I'm like, "I have to DJ now." So yeah,
It has to make it somewhat feel a bit new and exciting, and I think that's super important as you and I both have been doing this for a long time, like, just in introducing new elements to where you're not like, it's just a simple fact, bass music and what it is not this, like, ultra technical style of DJing where you're running 4 CDJs on top of each other at the same time. I know some people who do that, but that's not the general consensus of how bass DJs format their sets, whether you're using acapellas or whatever. So I feel like that definitely gives it like another layer of like dynamic for yourself to be super hype on it. And how was just the set in general? Like how was playing with Zeds Dead back-to-back tape B, and you at Mission Ballroom?
yeah. It was like it felt. It's still surreal. I still feel like, oh yeah, I did that. I'm like the entire time. I'm like you have like the pre-show jitters. You have like butterflies in your stomach, or like your stomach's in knots, or you just all the nerves are just are setting in, and like because this was my first show back since like December, and like in December I
Okay.
played to like I play with them again, but like June I'm like okay cool I haven't played July I haven't played in like 6 months like oh boy like this is going to be like one of the biggest crowds ever. That's what everyone's been saying. So I'm like oh like maybe like we'll see what happens, and I go up and I walked out there to about a room that's like 80 to like 90% full,
Oh, yeah.
and the very first words out of my mouth were just like oh shit. And then because I never played with someone that big before, so it was pretty sick. And like I think the set was really well received. Um, I got a lot of good comments, a lot of good feedback, and like it was just like a really fun time. And then again, hanging out with like Zeds Dead and Take B, they're so nice. So
Bird
I'm
is
really
so nice. Also
yeah
shout out Florida crew because he's from Florida too.
yeah. I literally saw his ring room next to me. I immediately texted him. I was like, "Yo, hey, see you soon."
Yeah, because you didn't know, right? Did you have any idea?
I kind of knew.
Yeah, you
So
kinda do. Okay, okay.
yeah.
I was did a run a show come out, or did they keep it, like, as secret as humanly possible that Burke was coming? I don't know, that was just, like the lineup was so strong, like, obviously, you got 2 different sets, and then it's just really cool because obviously, I feel like Deadbeats, like, supports so many different types of artists in, like, different ways, which is so awesome, and you have been really, like, playing shows and releasing with them and working with them for a really, really long time. Like, how did you guys kind of, like, cross paths for your music to end up on Deadbeats?
They are a phenomenal team to work with, and they have been so nice, and I'm very grateful for them over the last several years. How I met them, I honestly couldn't. I don't know how to explain it, but like in 2019, I released a EP called like "Tangled Roots." It was one of my very first EPs I
Mhm.
released. Um, and I sent it out to everybody, trying to get as much promo as much as possible. But like I just released it, self-released it, did my own thing, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this because like I've had these songs for several years. Like I never had the big project like this, so this is going to be like now my my big project in 2019. A week later, Harrison hits me up via email, and he goes like, "Hey, like Zach really likes your music. Would you like to sign and would you like to do an EP with us?" And he emailed me on my birthday, and I was just like,
No way.
I kind of sat there. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is like insane, absolutely insane." I just looked at the email for like a solid day, and I was like, "Okay." I should respond. This is real. So then I hit them up. This is right. And like, cool. Like, what do you need? Like, and at that point, it's just like I've been so focused on those 5 songs in the EP that I had nothing. I didn't have like any other like I had like 2 other songs maybe in my entire discography, and like that was it. I'm like, okay, I should probably start writing. So then I'm just panic writing for like a whole summer. I'm like, okay, let me get like 5 songs over to them and see what they think. They signed those 5 songs. That became Secluded Garden. And I'm like, oh my god, great. We released in September, and then a few weeks after that, Zeds Dead hits me up on Instagram saying, "Hey, let's write a song together." And I'm just like, "Oh my god, over the moon." We wrote a song together, released next, I think, the year after on their deluxe album. So
Mhm.
yeah, it just happened honestly organically, and like I got really lucky to be honest. But like I'm very fortunate. So like I got to meet them when I was in when I got booked for the show in Boca Raton. That was my first time meeting Harrison and meeting Zach and DC and all them. So like they were just like super nice all the way through. So like I kind of sat to them, yeah, these guys are dope. I want to work with them for here on out. So
Literally all of my experience personally and every single artist I've spoken to that has worked with them has never had one bad thing to say, and I think that is so rare in, like, our lane, especially working with labels, like, it is so cool how they don't take, like, a dominant, like, "We're gonna sign you, and you're gonna exclusively be with us, and you can't do anything else, and if we're giving you shows, you're not playing anywhere else," and, like, there's so many people that do that, whether it's agent-based or it's label-based or talent buying based, like, they just kind of say, "If we fuck with you, we're just gonna give you an audience, and your music will take it from there." They're super music forward, which I've just, like, always loved, and I really can't think of, like, more than a few labels off the top of my head, especially now in, like, this day and age of social media, that think that way.
no, yeah, I've seen several artists who have been like you'll have your handful of nice ones, and then you'll have your handful of bad ones. My bad ones are just kind of like those ego-driven people who are like, "Oh man, like now that I have this huge like crowd and everything else, like everything goes to their head. They think they're better than everyone else." I mean, you'll see plenty of those in like in all walks of life, and not just only the industry, but in almost every single like every single encounter that you have, basically. Not encounter, but just more of like in your job and your friend group and everything else.
Yeah.
So you'll
Oh,
see that.
absolutely. I think that's why it's so important. I now feel like I've been around long enough to realize that, like, I always knew this, but I never understood the extent of it within at least our industry, and again, it's, like, everywhere. It's just, like, don't burn bridges, and if somebody is, like, just starting out or like the climate of our industry changes so quickly, just always treat people how you want to be treated and treat them with respect because the tables can be turned so quickly for such a variety of reasons. And for a really long time, I was just like, oh, it's just music and da da da. And as I've had like other endeavors and other lanes that haven't been music orientated, whether it's been entertainment focused or broadcast focused or like marketing shit, it's like that everywhere, you know? Like, stuff just changes, and we get the opportunity to meet so many people, whether we, like, work with other artists or their labels or their managers and management groups, like, just treat everybody kindly because I think it's really a shame, especially when someone's talented, when you see exactly what you said, it kinda starts to go, and then it goes all to their head, and then you're just like, "Damn, this person has really changed," and usually that career lasts a few years and then they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I mean, they crash and burn, but I mean, like you said, like behind like every single like role or job people have, like there's always a human being behind it. It's not that hard to be nice with people. Not that hard to be like have a little bit of empathy towards or yeah, empathy
Mhm.
for people as well too. Because I mean, like you don't know exactly what they're going through. Like some people can like be happy as a clan basically, and then at the end of the day, they've had like a ton of shit in their life that are just completely going wrong, but you don't see it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you never know what people are going through. I mean, it's not that hard to be nice at all.
No, just lead your life through compassion because I definitely fully agree with that, especially being in such an industry where a lot of people don't work that way. So it's always nice when you come amongst artists. And I feel like you come across artists a lot in our lane, like the bigger they are, the nicer they are. Like that's at least been my experience. Like there's so many characteristics that like someone has to have in their like being to do what this is as at a really like high operating level, like whether that's like their integrity, their leadership skills, it goes on and so forth. And like the guys who have been around for the test of time, like Zeds Dead, they've just got it figured out and they've always treated people this way and they've always led their lives this way. And that's why they've been around forever. You know, it's like not hard to kind of I think even fans can kinda see through it when it's maybe not the most authentic thing.
Oh yeah, I've seen like their fan group too. Like they all seem to be very like a big amicable group of festival goers and like people who have been like going to these shows for years. I mean, I saw one post like saying like, "Oh yeah, I've seen Zeds Dead like 30 times this year." And I'm like, "That's insane!" But it's like they've had been such a huge support in their groups and their little circles for years. So it's awesome to see like how like it reflects not only at the artist but also at their fan level too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Somebody told me a really long time ago that you can't choose your fans choose you. And I think that, you know, we all know the artists in this day and age that attract maybe not the best people. And we all know the artists that you know that even if the crowd is 20,000 people deep, you're gonna be safe. People are gonna watch out for you. You're gonna have a good time. And you know, you don't have to worry about your bag or you don't have to worry about so many things that I would think of a little differently if maybe I was in Vegas at a day club seeing, you know, Martin Garrix or something. And I think that's what's really special about the bass community and like the like kind of freeform bass. You know, there's so many subgenres now that people can fit in underneath dubstep bass music. But I think a lot of the community stays the same and I would love to know your thoughts currently on like the state of bass music. There's a lot of people who say it's gotten stale, people aren't being innovative, and then there's a lot of people saying that the crazy shit ever right now is coming out. And like where are your thoughts in that?
Oh yeah, it all depends where you're looking at, honestly. Like you'll find all the crazy stuff in SoundCloud and YouTube and whatnot. Like you just got to do some digging with it. So like I'm always finding some new artists that are just like off the rails crazy. Like Ben and I we were hanging out over the weekend. He was just showing me some insane music that were just like these artists are like 600 followers, 1,000 followers, and it's like space Lace's level of production. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, these guys are gonna blow up next. Like, this is no big deal. It's like this is fucking insane. But like, you have to like, as a person in like in this role of like producer, DJ, show like in performing shows, you have to do the legwork and like actually look for
Mhm.
those like hidden gems. So you can't just be like, oh, this is getting stale because like the demos I'm getting are all pretty much sounding the same. They're all trying to sound um like this one niche group of genre, or they all sound like a regular song that I hear every single time when I go to a show or a festival, right? And you just got to do like the work yourself, the research, the homework of just like finding those artists that are just like that are breaking that barrier, that are pushing those boundaries. Like one artist I can think of, like More Kismet, just released an insane album, and they are crushing it. You
Mhm.
know, from the
Yeah.
sound, the storytelling to the like the level of mixing and mastering. It's a for me it's like a very insane perfect album. So like I'm gonna listen again when I get back on this, but like it's so good. And to say that like bass music is becoming stale just seems like I don't know, it just sounds like you're being lazy. You just don't want to do like you don't want to do the legwork there. So
Absolutely. That's so funny. I was with Omar on Friday. They came out to the Brownies and Lemonade show, and it was the first time that I saw them in so long. Same deal. I've been playing their new album on Insomniac Radio for a while, and cracked level production. And but I feel like More Kismet is somewhat recognized in like a mainstream bucket, at least their music is accessible and they have like a good following and they play shows. The stuff that gets me is like my boyfriend will come to me and say this person has 400 monthly listeners or, 500 Spotify or SoundCloud followers, and their music is like G Jones, like, like just some
Yeah, yeah,
crazy stuff. And I'm like, I was having this conversation with someone who used to write for a blog on Friday. And it's like, how do you get from point A to point B? Because I don't know what the actual statistic is. It's either millions or in the hundreds of thousands of songs released per day on Spotify. It's like, how do you show people you exist without completely like neutraling out the integrity that you have for your vision and going like, I'm going to be, which a lot of people are now, more of an influencer than like an artist to get that out there. And I feel like experimental bass is really in a special place because I think the music can speak for itself a lot of the times. Like, it will be on a longer timeline, but people will eventually know you exist if you can get it into the right hands of artists to play it and support it. But there's just so many guys that I'm just like, this music on a large system would just be insane, and no one knows who they are.
exactly. I think what also to tag along to that, I mean, like, I don't know how true the saying could be, but I think it's like when you have like, let's say you're performing and you're playing this like insane song, like people don't know like who it is. Like they won't know what they like until it's shown right in front of them or it's forced in front of them. Like, hey, look, no, this song is sick. Listen to this, and they go, like, yeah, this song is sick. I'm listening to it. So it's like it's just like they need to be the audience needs to be shown like from like a higher person they believe in. Like let's say for example, like I played like a tune from like for example in Mission Barroom I played a song by Combine and Waveheart. Song pops off, goes absolutely insane. Like the majority of my mentions were of that song. I'm like, okay, this is pretty sick. And I got a lot of videos from it. I can hear the crowd reaction, like, oh my god, what is this? Like, unless it's like you're going to these shows and you're seeing this, like people are gonna now discover, like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna listen now to Combine and I'm gonna listen to Waveheart because like I went to go see the show. This show showed me this stuff. This is pretty sick. They need to know like they need to be shown exactly what is good out there. And like I'm trying to word it properly, but it's like trying to like they don't know what they like until you show
Yeah,
it to
you have to give them what they don't know they need kind of deal
exactly.
through curation. And is that how you that's why I'm always, like, such a for a very long time, especially when I was making more predominant, like, bass, like, dubstep music, if I ever posted a video that wasn't me, I'm like, "Tag the artist that fucking made it," because it's just, like, that's how you kind of, like, pass along the torch of, like, "Hey, I play this in my sets, super cool, not taking credit for this, but, like, this is a really cool artist that you should check out." When you're curating your sets, are you predominantly playing your own music? Are you doing a kind of hybrid mesh? How do you format your sets currently?
So I know I make a lot of music that's like a lot of easy listening to stuff, so a lot of chill stuff. So I know I'm not gonna play those out unless
Mhm.
it's like a giant festival and it's like it calls for it. But how I build my sets is I try and get as many as my friends on there as possible. And then a bunch of unreleased songs that like I want to test out and have fun with. So like the Zeds Dead show that I played, like about like I had like 60 songs on there, and like the majority of them were either from my friends, from me, some mashups I did, unreleased stuff from them. And I made sure I'm like, cool, like half the set is kind of like my friends and I. And that's when I promote. So like when I play that set. But I don't know, there are other times too where it's like I did a guest mix for like a radio show a few weeks ago, and I'm like, cool, I'm going to showcase like all my unreleased tunes and like all my tunes from before. So like it varies. It all depends like what the show calls for.
There's definitely a time and place, I think, for all of it. But yeah, you definitely I feel like with your discography, you're playing heavier hitting songs of yours. And then it's 100% correct because I feel like, especially around the time that we did that show with Peekaboo at Hineo, shout out Headbang Society because I think that's who did that show. But shout out Govi. I remember in like the experimental community, and I'm sure maybe it still is this way. There's like a huge kind of like podium to stand on when you can play a 60-minute set of just all of your music, like it kind of just like continues on. And I felt like at that time, a lot of people like Mystic Grizzly and people in that space were really doing that really consistently. And I'm sure it still happens, but I don't see that as often anymore. And I am so back and forth because from an artist point of view and an artist like consumer point of view, I think it's such a cool thing to go, I have 60 minutes of music that you can totally digest that is totally mine. But then from like a fan consumer point of view, it's like if I want that, I can go to your Spotify or your SoundCloud and do that. So I want something that you're putting together that are like these acapellas and these edits and these hybrid mixes. And I don't really know how I feel about either of them because they can really flow and like help create your sound. I just think it's right now, it's really easy to sound like everybody else. So it's like finding a way to still stay unique, but also get the crowd really excited.
Yeah, I think there's an artist that did something like this where, I think his name is Smith. He did something along the lines of
Smith. Yeah,
yeah,
he rocks.
I think he did this, and I don't know if it correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, what he used to do is, like, he had acapellas from different, like, like, the popular songs were happening, he made the beats himself. So he's like, "Hey, these are just, like, are just, like, my actual songs, I'm just putting acapella over it that way, and when people go and see my show, they see, like, hey, like, this is the song that I made, but this is what the songs that so here's a kinda like a little mashup of it." I think
Mhm.
he's the one that did that. And I'm like, "That's a really good idea," because imagine, like, I dropped, like you can drop, like, Doechii or something, and the people were, like, recognize, like, "Cool, like, I know that artist, I like that song. I wanna listen to this," and then they listen to it more deeply, like, "Cool, the beat's really fucking sick." It's
Yeah.
like, where's this from? It's like, "Oh, I made the beat,"
Kinda like
So
fishing, like, you kinda, like,
yeah.
throw out the line with something they know, which is why, of course, like, you have god tier edits that are everything from Kendrick Lamar to Journey to whatever song that is filled with nostalgia. I mean, it's just the age we're in, and then the beat that drops is yours. And I think that's how that's just such a surefire, I think, like, theory proven way to get people engaged because I will say coming from, like, the melodic community, there's definitely a thing that goes on now, like, it sucks when people, like, don't know the words to a song because the song isn't big enough, and you're like and if it's your song or if it's your homie song and you're like, "This is just a beautiful song," but it's not like a millennium song that everybody knows the words to and everybody's singing along with, and it doesn't happen so much, I would say, in, like, the free form experimental based community, but you definitely see that, and I think it's just, like, become this loop where you kinda have, like, a play it safe card, and then you maybe go out on a whim and you bring it back, but that's why it's so cool because we have 60 minutes, so we have the opportunity to take people, like, on an actual journey, which is my favorite part of building sets. Do you I go all over the place now, like, I will literally go from 130 up to 180 and bring it back down. Do you kinda stay in that either halftime or, like, 140 range, or are you kinda all over?
I'm all over. I started, like I like to start my sets with this intro that I made that starts at, like, 60 BPM or, like, 120 and stuff, and then from there, start, like, building upwards into, like, halftime, then drum and bass, and then bring it back down to halftime. Um, I always find, like, the halftime tunes, are always, like, hitting because it's just, like, you have that little segment of, like, the slow, sludgy beats, and then you're to
Mhm.
140, like, headbanging stuff, and then you get to the fucking, like, upbeat tempos, and everyone's just now, like, having a really good time.
Yeah.
Um, because you get the energy up, basically. That's kind of what happens. Um, but yeah, I normally just try and build and do as much as I can in one. So like I prep like for this set, I prep for like 90 minutes because I didn't know how long I was gonna play. So I'm like, oh, maybe I can do like 90 minutes, maybe I can do 2 hours. And I'm like, 90 minutes is a good time. Like you can get a lot of stuff done in 90 minutes. So
100%,
yeah, I did
100%.
like like I had a set that was made for like, all right, cool. I started at 120, go all the way up to 140, and then I go to 180, and then I go to halftime, then drum and bass, and then they go just straight up, just like hard hitting, like 190 BPM stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'm probably doing too much. And then bring it back down to like I was just going all over the place. I made like 3 to 4 sets for this. So I was just like, maybe this can work or maybe this can work. And I had different ideas for it too. So
Hell yeah. That's awesome, and I think it's also, like, such a cool note to acknowledge that we're in this time where bringing it back together, he played, like, a visceral track during his set on Friday, and everyone kinda, like, lost it, and I always used to use him as an example right when my podcast started, because he literally got canceled for, like, visceral. Like, he got canceled for, like, making something that was so different and so respected amongst, like, artists and producers, but fans weren't ready for an artist that was, like, a tear out dubstep artist to come out with something so beautiful and then say, "You know what? If I wanna play both in my sets, I'm gonna play both in my sets." And now pioneers, obviously, like Zeds Dead, their last album, God, their last album was just phenomenal. Like, the multi-genre, faceted sets, artist discographies, I think are so ready to be accepted and are being accepted by current fan bases, period.
oh yeah, I love Getter, and especially that Best Rock album. Been a fan of his for years since like the Head Splitter tunes were coming out, and then I think he had like another one. I think it was called like Planet Neutral. If I remember, he had like this like flume-esque style, and I was like, yeah, this is the kind of shit I like. But seeing how like the fans reacted to it, I'm just like, this is such a shame because it's just this artist is like a lot of artists like do not stay in like in one genre. Like you, how many times have you seen like a band like change and do their own different way of doing it? Like, um, there's so many out there. It's like no one really sticks to one specific thing. Like one example is like Porter Robinson. The guy comes out with like electro house when he first started, and it goes into worlds, and then
Mhm.
he did like virtual stuff for a while, and then like he's now like on a totally new different genre. He's always changing with every single thing, and like that's what makes an artist an artist. That's what makes someone great. You know, he has just a versatile way of just producing his art and everything else. Um, with Getter, it's just like he knows what he wants, and he stuck to his guns there. And I
Mhm.
think, but I'm so happy he's back. I'm going to go see him. I think on the 19th or so.
Hell yeah. It
All right.
honestly, I well, one, you hit it right on the head where, like, that's what makes an artist great is when they can take their original sound that got them from point A to point B and now say, "Not only am I gonna do this to feel artistically fulfilled, but I'm gonna create a sustainable longevity for my own project because I can do multiple forms underneath this umbrella that keeps things exciting, but also other fans love." And Porter did it, Madeon does it, even Getter did it, Tara Reid, like, there were people from I think, like, Huya and, like, I think there were people that were in Suicide Boys that were at the show on Friday, like, the amount of respect that he has is, godly, and he, like, has this, like, swag to him and stuff, but I'm like, you can act all cool and whatever, like, he's a musical genius, like, he's figured it out, and he's done everything, even through the visceral shit, to, like, keep himself mentally well, and I was very curious when he came back, I was like, "Is he stepping into the I am now a legacy act, and I'm gonna play all the songs that made me big, and I'm gonna play Head Spiller, and I'm gonna play, bro step era," and man, he didn't. He came back and he was like, I made this with Skrillex in 2011, and then also here's a new one with Space Laces, and also here's a new one with Suicide Boys, and all of the new music was so like him, but a matured sound for, like, 2025, and I was like, "Damn, he's, like, back." Like, people who are that good don't just do the legacy card, like, I'm genuinely excited. If you go to his set, I definitely would love to hear your thoughts, but I'm genuinely excited to see what he does, and I think it's just very exciting, and he's just a great example of, like, I there's so many things that you can, like, fail at in our industry and, like, keep moving forward. Like, I think failing is so important. Being told no is so important because, like, the more that you get up and do it again, like, the closer you're gonna work to a yes. And, like, what would like, in your mind currently in, like, the current state of dance music, social media, TikTok, everything considered, like, what are some pieces of advice that you would maybe give to your I wanna be the next Zeds Dead. I wanna be Floret Loret playing with Zeds Dead. Like, I wanna be a down tempo halftime, like, experimental producer, but I don't know how to get from point A to point B. Like, what would you say to that person?
Oh damn. Give me a minute.
Asking the hard questions. Take as much time as you need, because I think it's really important now because people just see social media and they just it's such an intimidating facet, and I'm like, "You don't have to do it that way if you don't want to, and you can still see success."
It's hard to give advice in this day and age because I can say something along the lines of like, just keep your head down, start working, and start producing good music and release it. I mean, that's pretty much what the old formula was. But now you have just an ever growing like social media platform that is just like you have to be making content, you have to be doing this, you have to be showing people who you are. So my idea here, or my advice would be something along the lines of like, one, make sure that the music is good. If the music is really good, then fantastic. You step one done. Two, come up with some branding that I think that you yourself can get behind, and that you want other people to get behind too. Because I think that is what really is the driving force, I guess, for social media. Like people don't really want, like, from what I'm seeing, and I'm trying to word this the right way. People want good music, but they want good music with good branding, so that way they can get behind something. Like G Jones, great musician, great music. His branding, fucking phenomenal. And like I would wear all his hoodies and stuff because they're just kind of like, oh man, this is like I love the way it looks, I love the way it feels, I love everything about it. So I want to be they want to form some sort of identity with their artist. And I think if you find a way to just like tie it together with music, with the music and the branding, you'll be a very successful act, in my opinion. Um, but my opinion could also be very wrong too. You can be like, oh yeah, it's actually just the music, just do the music all the way through, or just do like a really good brand and like put music that's like going to be very generic and mainstream, and that way you can get the quick bucks. So it's all a matter of like, what exactly do you as an artist want out of the music industry? Because you can go many different avenues too. You can also be like, hey, I'm the one branding. I don't want anything to do with making mainstream. I just want to make music that is just like uniquely me and want to express myself. That's perfectly fine too. But it's just a matter of like, look for what you want yourself. My computer just like,
Oh, no, you're good.
I don't know what happened. All right, great. um, you as an artist, you look for one within yourself. Like, what do you want out of your project? Do you want like to just express yourself? Great. What does that look like? This is just like, oh yeah, I just want to write a bunch of music and just release it. And like, great, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to be the next act on there too, like you have to put in the legwork for making music and making a good branding. But also the most important part about all this stuff that really ties it all together is networking. Like I didn't get to meet you because like I was just making music all all throughout like the few years I never played a show. If I never played a show, I never after the show got to meet you or see anyone there. Like that's the most important part. You have to build those connections. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, music, branding, networking, all the nuances you got to do. But I think those are really the most important parts as like someone that's, let's say, starting today, tomorrow.
Absolutely. No, definitely. I think you're honestly spot on, and I think there's, like, a million different paths people can take under that umbrella of what you just said is, like, I literally myself included, and I think a lot of artists that exist in this lane, like, a lot of people, their definition of what they want out of the industry or want out of their project or how they've chosen to express themselves changes as their journey develops and matures within the industry. And I think a lot of artists also don't know what they want. I was in that bucket for a really long time where I was just like, I don't really like, I know I like making this and I know I like doing this, but like, I don't know exactly what this sounds like, tastes like, smells like, looks like to an average consumer. And then how do you put all of that together in one sentence for them to digest? I think that's like a lot harder like, done than said is one of those things where, like, have a notebook, have a fucking mood board, have a Pinterest page where you're consistently building what you want yourself to be, and then identify what you want out of the industry where you're like, if you just wanna do this for 2 to 3 years, you just fast track that shit. You know how to do it. You're in a perfect state of our industry to do it that way, and if you want longevity, you understand that you're gonna build your house of brick instead of straw, and those bricks better be good fucking music, or anything you do on top of that is only gonna last you so long on a certain timeline. And I think that you've done it in a very different way than a lot of other people do it, and there's no one pathway to success. Like, everybody's journey is so, so different, but I think establishing what you want first is probably the most important. And then it's like, how do I get from point A to point B and set those realistic goals? Because I think that especially in social media now, it's just super easy to compare yourself. You're looking at the numbers, you're looking at all the stuff, but there's acts that don't play that game to a height of it taking over their creative endeavors and still see success, like yourself. It's cool. It's super exciting.
Yeah, it is. I think another thing about that too is like when you do find success or like whatever that success looks like to you, how how like how do you adapt to that kind of change? For example, like, oh hey, like I am working, for example, let's say like you're working like a full-time job, you get like some remote success and now you have a 30-day tour ahead of you. Like how does that it's like you got successful in music, but what do you do with your full-time job? Do you leave it? Or do you do this? And you now are at a crossroads, you know? Or let's say that like you have there are things in life that happen that are just kind of like that you can't avoid.
Mhm.
And like you can be very successful with music and your arts and everything else, but you have to also kind of like take a step back and then look at your life and see where your life is too. Because I think the most important part about making good art is to make sure that you have your life on like that your life is okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't be like perfect and everything else, but just like, hey, like I can manage this. I'm able to do this. Like if your is like in shambles and you have like all these different problems you have to still fix, like fix those first because once you fix that, you'll be able to create the good art. You know?
100%. I think like creating just in general is I've like read I'm currently in the middle of I read like a chapter, not as much as I should, the Rick Rubin book that he put out a little bit ago, and I've read other books on just creativity, and then obviously talking to people through the podcast. Speaking from like my own experience, like financial stress has always been my biggest hindrance for creativity. Like when I there's so many people, it's like the never ending old age kind of debate where it's like, do you go all in and starve to where you have to make something happen? And maybe you make decisions that impact your brand negatively because of it, or you make decisions that are going to impact the music you're making negatively because of it? Or do you have that full time job until you physically can't anymore? And I've been everywhere on the spectrum from making a few $100s a week and literally like not surviving and going all in to having a part-time job, to having 2 part-time jobs, to having some income here and some income here, to going, I just don't wanna think about money, so I can only make the decisions that I wanna make and create the music I wanna make for my project. And that's where I found the most success, but every single person I talk to is different. And it's like, it goes down to, like, your relationship, like your significant other, like, are you in a safe space? Are you in a good environment? Like, all of those things matter for you to create art effectively and art that you love, because it's also so sad when you see somebody who has a massive level of success and then they end up just creating a bunch of art that they no longer like, just to maintain it. because I think that I've had a lot of times in the last few years that have slapped me in the face that are like, this now feels like a job when you're not making enough money for it to feel like a job and you love it too much for all of these other things to get in your way of you not being able to sit down in front of Ableton and make music that you really love and enjoy. So that is like a whole other climate that is really difficult to navigate, and that, like, safe environment for you to make the best art possible looks different for everybody.
Oh yeah, I think again, just going back to just the house or just making sure your house is good before you even start doing anything else is one of the most important things. Um, I remember being like when I first started making music and like learning how to make music in 2015 to 16. Like I was working at like a grocery store, just like cutting fruit, and like wake up every morning at like 2 a.m., do my job from like till like 1 p.m. And then from like 1 till like middle of the night, I'm just writing music. But
Yep.
like I didn't have my girlfriend at the time, who was now my wife, living with me. I didn't have anything there. I was just like living in my parents' house, writing music, and just going to work. And like that was just like my mind for a while. And then like as you get older, you get more responsibilities. You have other things that
Mhm.
are more important than you know. Sometimes you have way more important things than the music. So like, let's say you want to start your life, you want to do all these things. You have like all these ambitions for other projects. You start doing those instead. So I think it's just more of like categorizing like one, like how to make sure that one, your house is in good shape. Two, the art that you're making is exactly what you want to do. And like you don't want to be in this hole where it's like you said, like, hey, I found some level of success. I left my full-time job. But now I have to make this kind of style of art in order for me to maintain this living, uh, my living standards. Uh, but I don't like this art. So now I'm stuck in this weird thing where it's like, what's the word? It's like you can, it's like you love your job or like do something that you love and you never like work a day in your
Yeah,
life.
you
But
never work a day in your life.
then like the con of that is kind of like, well, if you do something that you love over and over and over again, eventually it's gonna go stale, I think, or something
Mhm.
like that. But it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, you're making art, you're doing what you love, but the art you're making is not that good. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I am full in with you, and I think for anybody listening too, because I think a lot of the people who listen are obviously, like, fans of the artists I have on, but a lot of people wanna do what we're doing in a certain capacity, way, shape, or form, and I just always wanna drive home the point that everybody's journey is so different, and the like, the epitome of making it is not being John Summit. Like, the epitome of making it is like, you can make whatever you want out of your project and your career work within the confinements of what you want, and it doesn't have to be this, like, crazy unattainable goal in order for you to feel success and be content. Because I think, like, everybody says this, the more people on your team, management, agent, production lead, day-to-day manager, more people on your team, the more bills to be paid, the more of anything you have is going to fully impact the level of stress and the level of consideration that you have when you sit down to make art. So you have to really identify what exactly you want out of this and then just lead by that. And I think as long as you're clear with your own expectations, you hopefully won't walk away going, "Okay, this is, like, not what I signed up for," or "I'm chasing something that's just not happening." Like, everybody's, like, definition of success in this industry that I've met is, like, vastly different, and, like, that's okay, and as long as it works in your life and you're able to lead the life that you want to live in music and out of music, which is super important, then I think you're pretty good, you know?
uh,
You know? You just got married, right?
yeah, I did.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
But yeah, that's fucking awesome. I was, like, peeping the Instagram before we got on, and I was like, "Oh, shit, he literally just got fucking married. That's crazy. Where's
It's
he
been a
supposed to
while.
get married?"
Where we went to France. So we were planning this thing for like 3 years, and yeah, we went out there to Europe, I realize it's a lot cheaper in the US. FYI, if your
Yep.
boyfriend's listening. So
Yes. Yes. Also, I know we've joked and we're like, we're just gonna like drop because we're out in Colorado. We're just gonna drop like longitude, latitude coordinates and just like make everybody find us, and then we'll just like weed it out that way. Yeah, weddings are crazy expensive here. They're
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, we were paying like a portion of like what we would be paying here. So it was a small wedding, just 30 of us. It was my 28, no 26, and her 4. So it was a pretty good dynamic.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh.
It was fun. We had such a good time seeing everybody, and marrying my best friend. I couldn't have asked for a more perfect day.
Oh, cool. Okay, so it wasn't June this year, it was June last year.
No, June this year.
No, it was
It-
June this year. Okay, so
yeah,
it did just fucking happen.
June
Okay.
months.
God, that's so exciting. Well, congratulations to both of you. I have this one by really quickly. I have one more question before I let you go. Tell us what's in the pipeline for the project. Anything you're excited, like any new music that you're working on, gonna drop soon. Like now is the time to let us know.
New music. I'm gonna be dropping a new tune in August with Aspire Higher, and then I just released the Deadbeats Mission Ballroom set last yesterday, Wednesday, yeah, yesterday on YouTube and SoundCloud. So if you want to relive it or want to experience what a Floret Loret banger set looks like, you can listen to that. And in the meantime, I'm just writing a bunch of music, so you'll see a lot more coming out in the next few months. So
Oh yeah, and you have a guest mix for me on
yes.
Insaniac Radio on Impact, and hopefully we'll get to hear that Aspire Higher tune. Before I let you go, because I know you're tapped in like the underground scene, like some labels or collectives that people who are looking for music that doesn't sound like everybody else, what would you suggest?
Oh, like who to send it out to?
No, 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 like who to
Oh,
listen to, like as a fan.
oh,
Like
who to listen
what
to?
yeah, like what labels should people be like looking at right now?
Oh man. I can listen to a bunch of artists though, real quick. Labels are just kind of like it all depends on like who they pick.
Yeah.
And
Yes. Go
so,
for the artist. Go for the artist.
yeah, one second. There was this one guy who, oh god, Snuggle shows me. So shout out Snuggles, Waveheart, uh, King Worm, 200 followers. Mars 6 is another one too, and then Combine as well. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
great artists too. One of my best friends as well, Low Poly, Thu, Kid all these people who I played out at my Mission Ballroom set. Uh, Great peeps.
Love it. Low Poly was at the show on Friday. So
Oh,
shout
was it?
out. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
shout out
Because
to
he's
them.
part of like the Dome of Doom crew too.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of releases with them and I did an EP with them. So they're super fucking sick and kind of let everybody do what the fuck they want, which is awesome. Sweet. Well, Floor, thanks for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate your time.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.